Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a man that is from Zim, and I am currently staying here in South Africa. So when I came here to South Africa, this was in the year 2012, and then I started working for this other friend of mine. So this guy, he was married to a wealthy South African woman. This woman, even though she was once married, but I think that she was helped by my best friend to finish off her husband, because when I came here, there were some things that I could not understand about what was going on. Like that guy, because he had sugar diabetes, so he was like partially blind. But what used to scare me a lot was that my friend, he had the nerves whereby he would go to that woman's home even though he knew that the husband was still alive. So they were taking advantage of his disability, and by the time that he passed away, this man was now fully staying with this woman. And this woman, she was someone that had a lot of money. I don't know if my friend was like using some juju on this woman, because with all the money that she had, she was just leaving everything to my friend. My friend was the one who was running the business. I used to laugh a lot because this woman, she had some tenders. What my friend used to do, he did not like to travel by road, so you would travel from Joburg, maybe going to Beresford, using a helicopter, and they used to waste like a lot of money. So she had tenders where she was building these RDP houses in and around an area called betrayal. She once had a tender there as well. She was like making money, like ultra rich, and my friend was the one that was responsible for all of the finances. Usually what this guy used to do was that if you would be sent to buy something, he would make sure to increase the price, since this woman was not even checking anything. So he was able to buy a house there in Harare, as well as getting married to another woman back home in Zim in secret. I then started working for him, also doing that RDP thing, but I was working as a supervisor in that area where we were working. Then I slept with this other very beautiful woman from that village. So this woman, like, I proposed love to her. It was somewhere around 4 p.m. when she told me that her husband was going to come back. The husband was working in Joburg, and he was already on his way returning back to that village, which is called Hamaja. I'll never forget it, because that is where I got my first STI that I got here in South Africa. So when I went to visit this woman then told me that if we were not going to sleep together on that night, then I was going to forget about it, because this man, he was going to come and he would stay. She was not even sure if he was coming back for good or what was going on. This woman was very beautiful, and by the time that I went to her place, I did not even have any condoms at all. I then told her that maybe it was a wise decision that I go and get some condoms, and she was like, it is your decision, but once you walk outside of my bedroom, then I'm going to lock. I'm not going to wait for you. Besides, it is very cold. I don't want to get out of bed when you come back knocking on my door again. I got up. As I was busy dressing, I looked at the beautiful woman. She was lying naked on top of the blankets, and I said, to hell with this. Let me just do the deed. I returned back to bed. We slept together. Early in the morning, that was when I felt so much hot, and it was really painful down there, as if someone had dropped my balls into a jug that was full of water, boiling water. I told her that I was feeling so much hot, and then he said, maybe you need to go to the clinic. Little did I know that this woman, she had an abortion. So this woman did not want me to see that she had an abortion. Even the time when we were still doing that romance thing, I wanted to go down on her to eat her up because of the way that she was beautiful, but she totally refused. Little did I know that she was still bleeding, but not a lot down there. So the more that I slept with her, I was like condemning myself. This is what a traditional healer told me. I was feeling so much hot, and then I went to the clinic. They gave me some antibiotics. The moment that I drank those antibiotics, it was as if I had made the situation to be worse. I could not even walk properly. What I did was that I took some ice blocks and then I placed them on my private parts so that I can feel a little bit better. We then went to this other Sangoma who was staying in that same village. This man was the one who said, this woman, she has condemned you. The woman that you slept with, she had an abortion. And if you sleep with a woman who had an abortion in which you won't be the father, then it is going to affect you. That woman then said, okay, let us go into the forest so that we can find some medicine. We then went into the forest and we dug up some medicine. He prepared them for me and then he made me to drink it. It was very painful. Some of the things that he made me to do, they were quite painful, like telling me that if the situation was going to remain the same, what he was going to do was to take a feather of a bird, and on that place where the urine comes out, he was going to stick it in there so that he can cleanse me. But fortunate enough, the time when he was doing that, that was when the urine started to come out. So even though I felt pain, but he did not do it for a very long time. Me and this man, we spoke about a lot of stuff. I started asking him if indeed the ancestors were for real. That was when I made a decision that by the time that I would return back home, I just wanted to see for myself, to hear for myself my ancestors speaking with me, because I never knew my father. So I always had this desire that one day, if it is possible, God, please lead me to where my relatives are. I returned back home. I then spoke with another traditional healer about this issue and some of the challenges that I was facing in my life. This traditional healer assisted me, but one thing that I have learned about spiritualism is that you start small, but you'll end up with people that are real ritualists. So this traditional healer, it advised me to go to another one. Then this one advised me to go to another one, until I met one who told me that he had been given his powers in Mozambique, and if I was willing to do whatever that he wanted me to do, like to take a chicken and this chicken to name it after my son, thereby slaughtering the chicken will be killing my son. If I was able to do that, then he was going to make me to have a lot of money. That was what I desired in my life, to have money. So I agreed. I then started to build my small empire when I was still back home, until I returned back to South Africa and continued and started my own construction company, in which I am still running like I'm the boss, but underneath me there are some South Africans that do run the company. I have my own reasons as to why I did that. To this very day, what really gives me money, it is not my company, but I have another source of income. I am wealthy, but my money, my wealth is not clean. What I do is that I use these desperate girls. They are these desperate girls that come and then they'll start to attend different colleges here in Johannesburg. I do prey on those young girls because they'll be so desperate for money. And I usually attend to these ones that are fresh from rural areas, that are hungry for life, the ones that want soft life. It is easy to approach and to see them. Usually, if I just go to a club, then I would just pick them up. By the time when I am done with a woman, her womb would have rotten, her life would have been destroyed. By the time that she realized that something is wrong, it will be too late. Usually the women that I date, they will start to complain about feeling pain. Their stomachs, they can start to swell unnaturally, so much that the woman, when she is walking, people will think that maybe she is pregnant, yet she won't be pregnant. She can have endless ear infections. That is what happens. I don't know why these women keeps on having endless ear infections, but the time when you start to date me, then it means that it will happen. So I was told that for me to sustain this wealth that I have to sleep with 10 girls, not using any protections at all, 10 girls each and every month, so that the money can keep on coming to me. This is my own secret. And I once fell in love with this other woman, but I was advised to let her go, as much as I loved her, because her mother was a Christian who was going to destroy everything that I had worked hard for. I then respected the wishes of my traditional healer. Currently, I'm still staying here in Johannesburg, still running my business. This is my own confession, but I am that type of a person that does not blame other people when I hear their stories. Being a ritualist, it is not something that you can do overnight. It is a process. It starts in your mind, and a seed is planted in your heart. By the time that you become a ritualist, that seed that would have been planted in your heart, it would have grown so big, so much that even if someone tells you that you do not need to do it anymore, it will be very difficult for you to let go of that lifestyle, especially when you come from a poor background, as I do. When I step out of my vehicle, when I look at other people as they will be struggling, I once hired these other guys that were from Zim. They did not even have any papers at all. So I do stay in an estate, and no one can come or go out of the estate without the papers. I wanted these guys to come and replace my geyser, even though they were cheap, but there were some other sacrifices that I had to do. When I drove into the estate, they were all hidden in my vehicle so that they won't be seen in the car. And when I thought about it, the day when I was regretting about me becoming a ritualist, I then said to myself, but there was a time when I used to live this type of a life, always running away from the police, always being scared, not having freedom, the freedom of movement, knowing that you are an illegal. I do not want to return to that place. I am happy where I am right now. I do employ a lot of people, and they do depend on me. So for me to say that I cannot do this anymore, it means that all of these families that are relying on me, they will have to go to bed hungry. So I think that even if there is hell somewhere, but I will try to reason with God on the day of judgment that at least I tried when I was still on earth to take care of those that were working for me and to treat them with fairness. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our brother right there. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.